Okay, this is the day trade recap. Today is October 22nd. It's Friday, and there were two tickers that I worked with today. First one was DWACW. This one was running on, this is one of Trump's social media platform. This is the warrant. And I decided to trade the warrant ticker because you can, right? And it was cheaper. And they kind of run together with the main ticker, but the main ticker was already, close to $100 a share when I looked at it this morning, and this one is half that. So I could leverage more shares, so I went with the cheaper stock, and it was moving very well. So first thing I do, and I'll talk about my chart settings as you probably haven't seen these before, and if, I just want to give a disclaimer right now. I do these charts or these videos for educational purposes. I'm not trying to glamorize my videos at all. I'm not looking for YouTube clicks or money or anything. I do not monetize this channel. So I just use my phone when I film this. I don't use any fancy software to do screen recording or any of that. And I get every once in a while, I've had a couple of people post comments on my videos saying, why aren't you using this software? Your videos are crappy. I don't care about the quality so much. I'm caring about getting the information out there. I'm not a channel, a YouTuber really. This is mostly for my own information because I like to document my trading activity, and I also do, like to provide some really helpful chart reading skills to anyone who's interested. So if you've got a mean comment to say about my video software and I'm just using my phone, just go somewhere else, right? This is going to help you. If you want to learn about reading charts and stuff, great, then this is for you. But if you want to criticize me, I'm sure you'll find plenty to criticize in terms of the quality of my videos. I sometimes get really shaky with my phone because I'm looking at different things. But anyway, that's enough said about that. Yeah, I use my phone to film these, and that's the way it is. Okay, so DWAC, let me talk about how I, this one ran yesterday. It ran from like in the dollar range up to, it had a high of like 14 or something. So, it gained over $10 a share on a very, very cheap stock. So that was really good. But I wanted to update my lines because they were getting a bit ridiculous. I wanted to widen the gaps to make my target lines be more reasonable, so I would hit them dead on. First thing that I do when I do that is, since this is a new stock, it doesn't make sense to use the daily chart because you can't really find any levels, right? I mean, we had yesterday, you could use yesterday, but it didn't really work out so well. So then I drill down from the daily down to the next time frame that I have, which is the 4 hour. And as you can see, I use the 4 hour chart. I put my top click right here on this wick right here on this candle, which happened yesterday after hours. Okay, this is an after hour, nice big candle. It hit that. It was just a nice wick. It just made sense to me. And my bottom click was the flat area, okay, basically. So that's how I drew my target lines. And I came in around 6:30 this morning, and it was already coming down from hitting here. So I missed that little move from $25 to like 40, right? Or 41, whatever it was. I missed that move because that started around 5:45 this morning. It only took 15 minutes for it to do that. And then it came down to VWAP. Whenever it hits a level, like right there, it's going to come back down to VWAP. You just expect it. Don't sit there and... It's better to get out and then get back in. Look for a nice entry. If it holds at VWAP and sellers aren't taking it down and all your other lines are pointing up, like this, this yellow is my 200 EMA, and I do have a 180 in there. I'll probably delete that. I don't really need the blue one, the light blue one with that yellow. Just the yellow is good. As long as it's pointing up, that's a directional thing, and everything's above there, then you can stay in. And then you, of course, get the VWAP. So the next thing that I look for, and here's my crazy chart settings. I need to talk about those because this is very strange for people. I have this customized for me. I'm a trend trader, so I like, first of all my candles are going to be green going up. I don't have red and green candles mixed in there for pullbacks. I'm able to read that just fine without the red and green candles. I don't like red on an uptrend. So I just have everything going green up, everything, either solid or red going down. So the dark green are my pricing candles. That's what most people have on here. And these are a little bit different because they're trending candles. So they're hollow going up and solid going down, right? Even if they're red, it doesn't matter. Solid is a selling candle on a green trend, okay, in this case. So that's the pricing candle. Now I have these other candles. These are indicator candles. They have nothing to do with price so much. I mean, don't think that you're getting in at this price. You have to have these candles on here to tell you where price is. But this is a trend indicator, okay? And as long as these candles are above this solid blue line, this light blue line, solid blue, that's a TEMA, but it also has a couple of other mathematical calculations embedded in there to make it smooth and a few other things. I use it as a stop loss, okay, and a trend direction. But as long as my candles, my indicator candles, are above that line, I stay in it to my target. So I get in, and it gives me a nice buy signal. It's a blue arrow. That means the candles, these indicator candles, the light green ones, are above my stop loss indicating line, okay? The TEMA line. I'm just going to call that a TEMA. You'll know that that's this line. My candle breaks above it, and it actually fires off a little bit late. It'll fire off when I'm on this candle, but that's okay. So you get in here if you want it, or get in above this yellow line, because that was a previous resistance level. But usually once it's approaching that line, it's going to go to the next target. And you see how I get out here? So getting in at like, actually I got in, here's my arrow right back here. I got in at 36.50, no, it was actually 36.80, and my target was 52.30, or 52.60, I'm sorry, over here, 52.60. So yeah, and you see how that was definitely a target, but you could have stayed in all the way to the next line. If these candles are still staying big and above that line, see how they're big? They're still going to the next line. So 68, if you get out here, you may not find an entry to get into this one. So, you know, the other way you can get in is if it comes down and tags like price candle, that's what you're using these for, is it tagging a support level. Well, it tagged this yellow dash and it went on, it found support. You see that? The candle stayed above, all your lines are pointing up. So you're going to keep going to this next level and this next level, right? Now here, we had a nice signal right here. This blue arrow is a nice signal. That means my indicator candle is above this blue line. So get in there, getting in at actually around $65 going to this next line, because you already tested this line. Now you're going to keep going to this line because all your other lines are saying, yes, trend is still pointing up. So here's the entry around 60, whoops, for me it was 65.50 or 65.51, sorry, getting in and then going to 79, because this is the low. Oh, actually my target was 78.69, so that was the get out price, okay? And it was very exact based on the way I drew these lines, okay? Remember, I used a higher time frame. In this case, I started with a 4-hour, you know, looking for a high wick, and that was my top click, and then down to the flat zone was my bottom. And do you see how that, back on my 1 minute, dead on. And here's the entries. If you get out at your line, if you get out at a line here, you just have to look for continuation. Everything was still pointing up, so there was no real reason to get out there. All of these candles were still pushing through this target line, so stay into the next line. And you see how that line was really good. You get out there, and then because candles started to weaken a little bit, if you didn't get out there, you hang on and just watch your other lines and stay into the next one. This one was not the easiest one to follow because the range was so huge. Okay, for example, this seller candle alone was from like almost $65 all the way down to $49. That's a huge 1 minute candle. That's very risky to do these, run these types of stocks, but you know, you can do it if you're following your lines, you're using the right entries. You don't want it. Now, a backside is where it gets really tricky. This is what I call a backside. You know, when it's going down after hitting a target, it's looking for support, and in this case it crashed through all the support lines. It crashed through this one, crashed to the purple, which is the VWAP. It crashed through the 200, and that's not uncommon, but it did crash through there. Now you're looking for an entry, and I just don't, you have buy signals here. You see all these little buy signals on the downtrend? That doesn't mean you're going to get in, okay? Those are profit taking on the way down, right? You don't get in there. And the way you know you don't get in there is what is going down here in the DMI? Well, red is in charge all the way. Red line is above everything. As long as red line's above everything, don't get in. Now it gets kind of tangled here, right? So let's look at that. It's kind of tangled here. Green popped up for a second, and you had a buy signal up here. Do you see where my vertical line is right here? Some people would get in there. It was like, oh, it's racing up to the VWAP. Is that a safe one? No, because my feeling is red, this red line, needs to be below the yellow, and it's still above the yellow line. When they're close together and everything, you kind of have to be careful because you're on a downtrend. The other thing is when these light green indicator candles, you may get a blue arrow, but they should never be solid color, okay? And they're solid. You just stay out. As long as those candles are solid, just stay out. Here they go hollow. What's going on in our DMI? Well, the yellow line's still pointing down. I kind of have a rule. You can do this. It's risky. You can get in here. It's really risky. But as long as my yellow line is pointing down, I just wait. I wait till things settle down. And red's still in control here. So it's on the downside. Not going to get in. But anyway, that's how this chart setting works. Now let's look at the other PHUN was the other ticker. Okay. This one is a stock that's not new. It's one I've worked with over the years, off and on. The reason this thing ran is because PHUN is because it is the software company that took care of Trump's election campaign. Okay, so it was running on the Trump momentum. There were several stocks doing that today. This one went, from the $5 range all the way up to 24 in no time at all. Before before 8 o'clock this morning, it had made that move. Pre-market to that. That's just like $20 a share. Just amazing. So people made money. And how do you draw the lines? So you see how it hit my lines pretty well? It hit my lines pretty well. Here was a big halt. This was scary because it was a $6 per minute halt on the downside. You don't want, and that was a big engulfing candle. You don't want to get stuck in anything like that. That was just a really scary halt, and it lasted for like 45 minutes. It wasn't the typical 5-minute halt. It was just really scary. This stock, it's not a huge, it's a medium float, I would say, a low medium, not a low float. It's just kind of a medium. But it had a little bit of short interest on it too. So that was adding to the momentum going up. You had short sellers exiting their trade, and they have to do that by buying. And that pushed it too, and it was a crazy move. But how did I draw the lines? Let's go back to that. In this case, I knew there was a gap. It was a ridiculous gap. I didn't think it was going to make. If you look on the, daily chart. Let's go to the daily chart. At one point, this thing was at $550 and went all the way down to $1. So it's a crazy stock. It doesn't make a lot of sense. You need to be careful how you draw your lines. And so you're looking for the next reasonable touch point on your daily chart. Or if that's too hard to read and you don't trust it, it's like, what? You can go to a smaller time frame, drill down 4 hour, 2 hour, whatever makes sense, wherever you can see something. Here on the 2 hour, you can start to see some levels. So that's what I did. Wherever you can see some levels that make sense to draw your lines. And here you have a couple of tops, right? You have a buying top, a hollow, and a solid. So I just clicked right there. It was my top click, and my bottom click was down where it was flat. Okay. And then, so that was the 2 hour chart that showed that to me. And then I go back to my 1 minute. And at pre-market, what I was looking for was a buy signal. Okay. And I wasn't, I wanted it above the VWAP, and I decided, well, I'm going to wait till it gets above this line here. Actually, I saw it somewhere in here. It was really close to that line. So I thought, well, I'll look for a buy signal above that line. And here we had one, right? It was just a little bit before pre-market, like 2 minutes before, which is a really good time to get in. Because once you wait till after bell, things get halty, it gets crowded, you can't get your orders filled, things just move really, really fast if it's going to move. Don't pay too much attention to down here. As long as green's above everything, you don't really want yellow pointing down, and it was kind of down there, and that can be very confusing. If you get really confused, you can verify with your 5-minute chart and see what it looked. It was solid up on the 5-minute chart. So the 1-minute chart was a little bit not clear right here, where the yellow line's kind of like, are you pointing down? Are you pointing up? Are you flat? What are you doing? So go to your 5-minute chart in a case like that and just kind of get a little more clarity. Here it was just starting to take off for a trend, which is really awesome. Yes, the green was coming down right there, but then it popped up. So if you have a buy signal on your 1-minute chart, but things aren't real clear, just look at your 5-minute and see if there's continuation. That's all you got to use this for. It's kind of like a rear view mirror. Just, it's not really an indicator. It's just to support your decision. And the other thing, like I say, I look for the blue arrow, which actually will occur on this candle. It'll fire off when you're on this candle right here. It's like a minute late, which is funny. Not always, but sometimes. And what you're looking for is for to see a candle body, not just a doji candle, but a candle body above that line, a hollow candle body. So here we had one right here. You could have got in here. That was right at 7:30. And you know you're going to stay with that trade. If you wanted to get in early here, this is fine. It's going to be a little, uncomfortable, but it's fine. Usually these arrows are rarely wrong. Sometimes they will pop up and disappear. That's rare, but they'll disappear within the same minute. That's why it's best to wait for the next candle, because it'll stick or disappear permanently, right? So this one is kind of an indecision moment, this candle, but if you want to be really clear, just look for a light green hollow body candle. You're getting in, on this candle at $9. Actually, for me, it was in this $8 range, but you're going to stay with that trade, watching these candles now. Once you're in, you just look at these hollow, light green Heikin Ashi type candles. Just stay with them as long as they're above that nice smooth blue line, okay? And you go to your target. Is this your target? You could have got out here at 13. You would have gone in 8 and got out. So you would have made like $5 a share. The thing continued. It was halting on every candle. At this point, it was just hard to know what it was going to do. It was halting on every candle on the way up, and then it halted huge on the way down. So this was a scary stock to trade too. But if you're not greedy and you just get out at some targets, or just stay in with your candles, right? They're continuing to grow bigger. You can go to this next one, right? Your other candles just continued to show pure strength, but you can get out at your lines. If you wanted to draw your lines based on a higher time frame, you can do that. I just used the 30-minute, right? Or what did I use? I used the 2-hour. But if you want to go and see, well, is there any way that it might go higher? I do have some lines up here like this one. Scroll back and look where that gap goes. Gap goes way, where's the next reasonable level? So you can find some support and resistance here or here. It already exceeded this level, so you're looking for the next. Here's 20. You might need to go back a little. It's looking like, well, that wick right there, 14. Or you can look at this line. It's just, it becomes guesswork when you're getting this far back and things are, you just know that this is going to be an area. So what I like to do is go for the lowest and just put a line there, like 20. Let me put a line there for you so you can see. And this one. No, that one I don't need. But yeah, right where that candle body kind of tagged down. And if you go to the 1 minute, you can kind of see, for continuation's sake, it didn't even hit that white line, right? So it's best just to be safe. You may leave money on the table. Getting out at probably this line right here. Getting out here, you're just fine. Getting out at $19, then you're safe, okay? So anyway, that's how this went. I know I kind of rambled on a little bit trying to explain, how these, because this is a big one, this new chart setting that I'm using with these dual candles. Again, these are indicator candles. These are not pricing candles, the light ones. The dark green candles are price action. Okay, and so it's helpful to have both of them on here because this is an indicator for the trend. Just stay with it to your target and then get out. Once you hit your target, don't wait for it to turn around on you. Okay, this was much less stressful and it shows direction a lot better. Anyway, that was how it went today. I hope this was helpful to you. If you have any questions, let me know and we will talk soon.